Senator. I left a nice buck trap at 3:30 today here on time, by the way. So, but I want to applaud your effort towards your past long-term effort towards global warming. But I'd like to offer my vote to you if you'll sign on to the Warner-Liberman Bill that's in the Senate now.
My friends, the Warner-Liberman Bill is a bill that is designed to a system where we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions without imposing undue burden on the taxpayers. Now, some are proposing what they are not, which I'm opposed to, and that's a quote carbon tax. You know, whenever you hear a phrase like that, you ought to be careful, especially if it comes out of Washington, because I'll tell you what it means in translation. It means an increase in your gas taxes. Does anybody here think they need to pay more money for a gallon of gas? Please raise your hand. Look, but the only problem that I have with that legislation is I believe fervently that if you're really going to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, if you're really going to help relieve our dependency on foreign oil and our foreign energy sources, we're going to have nuclear power. And nuclear power, I believe, works. The United States Navy for 60 years has been driving ships around the world with nuclear power plants on them. The French, we always love to imitate the French. 80% of their electricity is generated by nuclear power. And by the way, in case you missed it, we now have a pro-American president of France, which shows if you live long enough, anything can happen. Don't get me wrong, but I really believe, sir, that we have to, if we're going to be serious about this greenhouse gas emission issue, nuclear power has to be part of the equation. And I'm for hybrids, hydrogen, ethanol, E85, all of those things. We're going to have to use technology, but right now, available technology is nuclear power, and there are plans by utilities to build coal-fired plants all over America, and that I don't think is good for our climate. And finally, could I just summarize again? My friends, there's still controversy over climate change or global warming. But let me just put it to you this way. Suppose that there is no such thing as climate change, and we go ahead with green technologies. For example, General Electric, the world's largest corporation, is dedicated to the development of green technologies. You've seen some of them in these new light bulbs and other things, okay? And suppose that there's no such thing as climate change, and we go ahead with green technologies. We just handed these younger Americans a cleaner planet. But suppose we're right and do nothing. Suppose we're right about climate change and don't do anything. Then what is our obligation to future generations of Americans? Thank you for the questions.